Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening if you're in Cairo or anywhere else in the world. I'm so happy that you're all here. Like Charlie beautifully said up top, it's been a weird week, and I just became an American citizen, so my timing was impeccable and perfect, right, to join at the darkest hour. But I'm glad that I am one of you because the more of us there are out there people who want to be themselves and let others be themselves, who want to spread love, who believe in unity, family, crew, as it were. Those people will always win over hate, over discrimination, over fear. So no matter how you're feeling, no matter how you're feeling, I just want you to know that I will always have your back. This crew that is all here today will always have your back. You are not alone. We will get through this. We've been through worse before. Don't forget, in 2016, Trump called my country a shithole. So, and I'm still kind of here. So, there's ways to overcome this. So we will overcome this no matter what happens. Um, don't live in fear. Live in love. Be an example of love, and you'll inspire everyone else around you eventually. So we'll get there together. Okay. So I'm so glad that you could get in the headspace to join us today. Thank you, Momentus. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Berto, and thank you, Kristen, for organizing all this. We're going to make an amazing recipe today, a recipe that has never failed me ever since I started making it, that has been loved by every cast member. Con, of course, you saw Vico, Dave Fane, Taika, Reese. I am expected to make it every time they invite me for a lunch. And I'm so excited to share this recipe with you that you can hopefully share with your loved ones. If you're going to eat it by yourself, no judgment. There's nothing wrong with eating 8 cups of cheese and cream and butter and milk and all the other nice healthy things in there. Because also it's going to be gluten-free flour, so it's like healthy. Anyway, I can't wait for you to spread the love with this dish because we all need a warm, cozy hug right now, and we can do it together. It's not complicated. Don't be scared if you've never baked a mac and cheese before. I got you. I'll guide you every step of the way. What else can I say before we get started? Yeah, I'm giving those who are still grating their cheese time to grate their cheese because I just grated my cheese. Um, so grate your cheese if you can. Um, a few things up top. I've told you guys so many BTS stories already. I've shared so many BTS things. So I don't know what else to share anymore. That's why we've opened up the chat for any questions you might have. And if you have any questions that you want to ask me, anything about OFMD, myself, my projects, the other cast members, feel free to shoot and we'll try to answer those while we're baking. And if some BTS stories pop up because of those questions, I'll be so happy to share it with you guys. I've given you guys Babe, I've given you guys Boyfriend, I've given you guys everything. So I'm happy to share anything else you might want to know. Okay. Without further ado, are we ready to get going?
I think we are ready to get going. And also, yeah, so use that Q&A box. And then Samba, just let me know when you'd like to take questions in between.
Yeah, there'll
Yep.
be time. There'll be time. All right, let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. All right. First thing you want to do is boil your macaroni water. Okay, so in a pot of just a pot, put in some water. I fill it up about 3/4 up of the way, and get that boiling. And the way to get that boiling faster is to add some salt to it, just so it will lower the boiling temperature, according to my science teacher, and it'll boil faster. So turn that on to get boiling, and then don't watch it because the fairies don't like you watching their work. And don't keep checking it. Put on the lid. It'll boil faster. While it's boiling, we'll get started on our roux, aka bechamel sauce. Now, there's a lot of bechamel recipes out there. This is from my mom. Okay, so it's very special to me. I'm so happy to be sharing it with you. So, what we're gonna do while that's getting to a boil is to start in a large pot. This size will do. Um, and we're gonna melt some butter. So I'm gonna operate the camera here. Forgive me from time to time. I'm gonna have to zoom in and show you guys stuff, but let's see if that's in focus. So what you're gonna want to do is your stick of butter, right? You're gonna want to put 5 tablespoons of butter into your pot. Uh, wrote in the recipe how much that is in grams. Forgive me if I'm not fully there yet. It's almost half a cup of butter. So 5 tablespoons. That's this of butter. And just throw that in the pot. And turn the heat on to medium to let that start melting. Okay. And then once that starts melting, we'll add our flour, but don't add the flour until it's fully melted. Okay. And yeah, and those who have grated their cheese, well done. Those who pre-grated it. Don't worry if there's chunks. Mine still has some chunks. I didn't want to risk losing a finger. Once all the cheese is mixed together, just except for your Parmesan, okay? The Parmesan is for the topping up top. But the other 3 cheeses that I had mentioned, like I have smoked Gouda, I have Gruyere, and I have sharp cheddar. Mix those together because we're going to want all the flavors to be combined, except for your Parmesan. Your Parmesan is for later, for the breadcrumbs. See, look at that big block. I wrap what? All right, mix it all together. It's going to melt anyway, so don't worry if there's chunks. All right, I'm ready for any questions while the butter's melting.
All right. All right. We've got interesting. Mac and cheese question to start. I was wondering, could we put tomato in the mac and cheese? I like to have my veggies, but wasn't sure it would ruin it.
I've never tried that. Like a fresh tomato. If you're talking fresh tomatoes, I would add those maybe at the top once you've layered it in your baking tray, or layer it in your baking tray while you're layering your mac and cheese with the cheese and the breadcrumbs. You can put some tomato in between, then that'll bake nicely into the dish. I wouldn't put it in the bechamel or the roux because that will ruin it, because tomato is water and water will ruin the cream sauce. So I'd add it after, once your mac and cheese is in the dish, and then you layer it together.
Perfect. I think it's Skyella asked, what's your favorite moment that didn't make it into OFMB?
Oh man, there's a bunch. Where to start? From season, what was it? Season 1, most of it made it. Season 1, most of it made it. Season 2, a lot of scenes didn't make it. The spa scene with Dave Fane only made it in the post-credit scenes. That didn't make it in the actual episode where I bond with Fang. Roach bonds with Fang, where we have a nice spa day, and I show him how to relax and have a face mask, and then we walk to the Republic of Pirates and talk about going to Spanish Jackie's to have some Chardonnay, and to complete our spa day and just relax. But before we get to Spanish Jackie's, Steed gets kicked out by Rebo's character Zhang, and gets a beating of his lifetime, and me and Dave Fani kind of scream in the background. So that didn't make it in. And also Calypso's birthday, Roach goes diving for plums in a bathtub full of rum, and that's how the scene starts. He dunks his head in the plums, comes out, and I got the plum, and everyone's like, yay! They're like, take a bite, and I take a bite, ah! And they're like, yay! And then I go, ah, I can't see. They're like, yay! I was like, don't cheer for that, I'm blind. And then I run off blind, and Roach is blind for like 5 minutes.
Hey,
That's why
Samba,
yeah.
we're having a couple of comments that the sound is a bit low.
Oh, okay. I'll turn it
So
up.
if we could just turn the mic up a bit.
Absolutely.
Or
I'll tell that story again. In the meantime, if your butter is melted, right, and it's a bit brown, now it's time to add your flour. So what you're gonna want is four tablespoons of flour, if you can hear me, 4 tablespoons of flour and a whisk, and you're gonna want to whisk that immediately. Okay? So add in your flour. I'll turn up the volume on my microphone. 4 tablespoons of flour. I'm using 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, and immediately whisk it. Okay, immediately whisk it together. It's gonna form like a paste. Make sure it's all incorporated. Right? And just keep whisking it. We're gonna want to whisk it for about 5 minutes until the flour cooks a bit. Because some people, when they make a roux or bechamel sauce, they don't cook the flour enough, and that's what gives you a full stomach achy kind of feeling when you have like mac and cheese or pasta dishes that are baked with white sauce, because the flour hasn't had time to cook enough. So that's what we're doing now. We're gonna just whisk it for about 5 minutes until it starts turning a little kind of brownish color. I'll show you what it looks like in a second, but keep whisking that.
And what temperature? Two questions. What temperature are you making the roux at? Like in terms of the
It's
burn?
a medium low fire,
And
medium low.
I didn't see it in the recipe, but when we do preheat the oven, what temperature would you like that at?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So sorry. Those who are gonna bake the mac and cheese right during this class, you can turn on your oven now to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 180 Celsius. And what you're gonna do is leave that on until we bake at the end. If you're gonna bake your mac and cheese during this class, you'll bake for about 20 to 30 minutes. You'll know when it's ready because it'll be sizzling and popping and it'll be nice and brown, golden brown. So those who are gonna bake it right away, turn on your oven now. You'll have time to heat it up to 350 Fahrenheit. Good call, Charlie. I'm baking mine later tonight. So those are baking it later tonight or tomorrow. We'll just assemble it and then you can keep it in the fridge uh, until it's go time. Um, Someone asked me if you can freeze it. I don't know. I've never tried it. Let me know how that goes. um, so yeah, whiskey roux. I was telling a story about Fang and Roach. Oh yeah, and then Calypso's birthday. Roach is blind because of having dunked his head in a bathtub full of rum. And that's why that didn't make it because we didn't have time, you know the story. But if you watch the episode, you see Roach in the background and a lot of shots just kind of like blinking and looking at Izzy and everyone around him and dancing with Fang like he's totally out of it because he's blind drunk, literally. He dunked his head in a bathtub full of rum, so he's blind and drunk. And then Ned Lowe kind of wakes him up with torture, aka what he loves. Uh, so that didn't make it in there, but that was one of my favorite moments too. There's a bunch. All right. For those who have water already boiling, just let it sit there for a second. Let us keep working on the roux. Mine's not boiling yet. Um, but that's for the macaroni. If it's boiling, just kind of let it boil for a second. So your roux bechamel, see how it's getting a bit more golden brown, the flour with the butter? That's what you kind of want. It's gonna be sizzling. And you kind of just want the butter and the flour to cook. You want the flour to cook so it's not raw in your baking sauce. So yeah, about 5 minutes before we add our milk and cream. And it's about a liter of milk, which is 4 cups of milk, and half a cup of whipped cream, which is about 250 milliliters of heavy cream that we're going to add to the bechamel. Um, I'm going to give mine about 1 more minute. You just want it to not, you don't want it to burn, okay? As soon as you see it that it's brownish, like a nutty color, you can move on to the next step, which is adding the milk. Any other questions?
Yep. And we do have a couple of people that are saying the mic is still a little bit low. I don't know if there's a way to
Okay.
turn the gain up on that.
Yeah, I'll just bring it closer to me. How's that?
Yeah.
Because I'm bending down, so I think that's why.
Well, it's funny because I can hear. I think we can hear you just fine, but maybe there's something that's happening on the other side there.
How's this? Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, and also if you have headphones, y'all, like you can use headphones, and sometimes that can also help improve it a little bit. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, great. Everyone's excited. Yay.
Yay. All right, we're gonna add our milk.
Yeah.
We're gonna add our milk. So you're gonna keep wanting to whisk as we do this, but just add your 4 cups of milk, 1 liter of milk. It's gonna sizzle. Whee! Add that in there. Whisk it. All right, so it's all blends together. You don't want it to stick at the bottom. That's why we're whisking it. Okay. And then once it's all integrated, add your heavy cream. Ooh, half a cup. All right. Get that stirring. And now what's going to happen is that it's going to cook in about 10 minutes. It's going to start thickening up. And you want to whisk it from time to time so it doesn't stick. So it keeps cooking, keeps mixing. And in about 10 minutes, you'll start noticing that it'll start thickening up and bubbles will start popping at the top.
Also, the recipe says 1 cup of cream.
1 cup of cream? Yeah, that's right. 1 cup. 1 cup. Did I say half a cup?
You said
I'm
half a
sorry.
cup.
No, 1 cup, 1 cup of cream or 250 milliliters of cream.
That was a test, everybody. You passed.
1 cup of cream. That's 250 milliliters. So whisk that from time to time. And now it's time to play around with some seasoning while that cooks. Now I add salt, pepper, and here's a secret my mom taught me, nutmeg. Why nutmeg? It's a weird flavor, I know, but there's something about adding nutmeg to a bechamel that makes it pop and makes it nutty and gives it an extra texture that melts really well with the cheese and the pasta. And some people don't like nutmeg, but trust me, give it a shot with this bechamel. It just kind of makes the flavor that much deeper and richer. So, everyone knows how much salt and pepper they don't like or whatever. I like my bechamel to, be tasty and a bit salty. So I'm gonna add, let's just say, a teaspoon of salt to start with, half a teaspoon of pepper, and let's start with half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And you can always alter that as we go. And just kind of whisk that in. All right. And as you go, you'll taste it and you'll see if you need more salt because you want it to just be just on the edge of salty, or at least so you can taste the salt because the cheese is going to add more salt to the dish. But you want your bechamel to at least be flavorful. So, in a few minutes, taste it to see if you want to add more salt or pepper or nutmeg so you can taste the nutmeg. That's up to you guys, how much you want it to. So just whisk that from time to time. I'm going to turn up the camera like this so I don't have to bend down and I can answer questions into the microphone as all this is happening. All right. Any more questions?
Yes. So Dennis asks, which scene in season 1 or season 2 of OFMD took the most takes to film?
I'd say in season 1, it was the first scene where Steed comes down and goes, "Some of us will be mentally devastated," and that scene. Any questions? Because that was the first scene we filmed in the show. And Taika was directing, and we were just trying to find the characters and find the tone of the show. So we improvised a lot during that scene. So Steed would be like, "Any questions?" And Taika would point at like "We John" and be like, say something. And then Christian would improvise like, we talk about it, or whatever that line was. And then he'd point to Frenchie and be like, "You bottled it up," or "Give us another one, Frenchie." And Joel will be like, "Oh, you keep it inside until you rot," and that kind of stuff. And then he'd point to Roach and I'd just improvise. I'd be like, "Oh, you first you skin them alive. When someone returns mentally devastated, what do you do?" is the question. And Roach goes, "You skin them alive." And then he's like, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough." And then he'd point to the Swede and he'd tell the Swede, "Okay, say something about, it hurts your family." And Nat Faxon, Nat Faxon kills us every time. He'd go, "First, you keep it inside, and then you go home and you take it out on your loved ones," that kind of stuff. And so that took the longest to film just because We were improvising so much and just trying to find the character and the tone. That was the longest filming. And then in season two, the torture was a long, long shoot. That was 3 or 4 days of shooting. And that was really hard because me and Samson were in these head clamps that were really, really uncomfortable. And then we had to, keep that on for 3 days. Uh, Reese was tied to a pillar, and so he kind of pulled out his shoulder. Uh, Vico and Madeline were laying on the ground with their feet up, and so they started getting like nauseous and dizzy. And then Christian and Con were tied back to back to a chair, which, if you look at that photo, is hilarious how tiny Con looks. He's literally the size of Christian's knee. He gets to Christian's knee. That's like it's just such a funny picture of them sitting back to back to one another. It's cute. It's cute because he's all tough. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it," or whatever Khan says, and he's like this little man, size of Christian's knee. But that was hard for them because they had their hands tied, or they had their hands like in a clasp. So that was a long, long shoot of filming as well. Yeah. Keep whisking your bechamel until it gets thick. Uh, if after 10 minutes it does not thicken, there's a few tricks. You can add another tablespoon of flour and keep stirring that for like 4 or 5 minutes so it thickens it up. Or if it's too thick, you can add a little more milk or a little more heavy cream to get it to the right texture. And I'll show you what the right texture is, but that's just a tip. If it doesn't thicken up in about 10 minutes, don't panic, right?
Should it be bubbling, or is it sort of still?
Mine hasn't bubbled yet. It hasn't 10 minutes yet. So just keep whisking it and you'll see when it starts bubbling. If it's bubbling, uh, you're about ready and just kind of turn down the heat to low and keep whisking it so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. All right. Um, in the meantime, my water's boiling, so we can throw in the macaroni to cook because we want that to be cooked before we'll add it to the uh, bechamel sauce. So you can use any pasta you want, really, has a tubular pasta because any kind of tubular pasta will get the cheese in there and it'll be nice and delicious. But this is a mac and cheese recipe, so I'm just using elbow macaroni. You can use gluten-free. You can use your favorite brand. Whatever brand you use, just cook it or boil it 1 minute shy of what the instructions say for al dente. So this brand says boil for 7 minutes for al dente. I'm going to boil mine for 6 minutes. Gluten-free, I know, tends to cook quicker. So if you're using a gluten-free pasta, cook it 2 minutes shy of what the al dente instructions say. All right. So I'm going to add my macaroni through the boiling water. Just putting it in there. Whee! And just give it a little stir with a fork from time to time so it doesn't all clump and stick together. So I know we're multitasking, so keep an eye on that. 6 minutes. Let's see. It's 10:30 here, so 10:36. I'll check on it and make sure it's 1 minute shy of al dente. In the meantime, keep whisking. My bechamel is slowly getting thicker, but I'll tell you when mine's at the right consistency so you can see if yours matches that. But what you want is not soupy. You want it to kind of be like a sauce that kind of sticks a little bit to the spoon. And you'll know when it's ready because it'll bubble. But I'm going to taste mine to see if I need more salt, pepper, or nutmeg. I like that. I can taste the nutmeg. It's salty enough. I think I'm good. Uh, any more questions? We're almost there with the bechamel on my end in the meantime.
Yep. We've got, let's see. Jennifer asks, I have a BTS question. Do you know any more about what the makeover plan for Steed was for the first draft of Calypso's birthday?
Well, the first draft of the episode was indeed that Wee John and Roach cannot take the sexual tension between Steed and Blackbeard anymore. It makes Roach and Wee John very uncomfortable. And they're like, please, we need to break this tension. And Wee John's like, yeah, I got an idea. And everyone else in the crew is taking bets when they're going to sleep together. And so Wee John and Roach give Steed a makeover, and Steed gets a pierced earring, and he wears a low cut shirt, and um, I think Wee John does something to his hair or something. I don't know if it was kind of like I forgot what it was. It was like the piercing was a big thing, and then the low cut shirt because Wee John tailored him a shirt, and then something with hair. I don't know if it was some eyeliner or something that made him just pop. So Blackbeard sees him come in, and they're like, music's playing at last from Etta James starts playing, and then they start dancing, and then finally the tension's broken. That was the very first draft of the script, but then it became Calypso's birthday, which at the end of the day made more sense because we didn't want just the episode to be about sexual tension. We wanted there to be, the story of Steed stepping up as a pirate captain and then um, doing something that would shock Blackbeard about piracy, like making someone walk the plank. Um, and then that they connect on that thrill at the end of the episode. I thought was a better choice. All right, let me just show you the texture of my bechamel. It's bubbling. Let's see that. Whoa. That went far. What happened? All right, sorry. Let me focus it. There we go. All right. Um, as you can see, it is bubbling. All right. And that's where you want it. You want it to bubble, the bubbles pop on top as you keep whisking it. And it's not like super thick, as you can tell. It's not like a thick puddingy custardy thing. You want it to be kind of, you know, nice and creamy and thick enough that it stays like sticks to the spoon. All right, that's the texture you want. If it's lighter than this, you can add just a little bit of flour. Or if it's too thick and it's like too clumpy, add a little bit of milk to lighten it up. But this is the texture you want. It's kind of like, you know, yeah, I don't know what you call that. Gentleman piratey, I called it. All right. Um,
Yeah,
so with that, once it's ready,
loopy.
turn the heat on low. Yeah, gloopy is a good one. Turn the heat on low once it's bubbling. Okay. And just whisk it from time to time so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. Now, my pasta is boiling. I'm just going to give it a stir with a fork again, just so it doesn't all clump and stick together. And it's been 4 minutes. So 2 more minutes on the macaroni. I'm not going to move on to the next step, which is adding the cheese to the roux yet until I've drained my macaroni, because the cheese part is also, it takes time, it takes a second. So just hold off on adding the cheese if you're with me. And just whisk it from time to time, your bechamel roux, just so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. But this is the texture you're looking for. Gloopy. All right. And my macaroni is almost there. Let me taste it, see if it's the texture I want. Almost there. One more minute, I'd say. So 1 more minute shy of al dente. Okay, I can zoom out. Oh, all right. We're almost there, guys. Look, we're more than halfway. All right. I'm proud of you if you're keeping up. Not that hard. The rest is easy. What comes now is easy. This is the hardest thing, making the roux and shredding the cheese. Okay, my macaroni is almost done. To strain it, I'm using a colander. I learned that word when I was trying to research. I was like, what do you call the bowl with the holes to, that for pasta? And they're like, colander. I was like, if you say so. So use a colander to drain your macaroni in a second. And you're gonna want some olive oil on standby to drizzle on your strained pasta so it doesn't stick together. Okay. It's been 6 minutes for me. which is 1 minute shy of al dente. You just make sure you kind of want it to have some bite still because the macaroni is still going to cook in the oven. Yeah, I'm good. You want it to have some bite still, not raw, but still some chew. So I'm gonna drain my macaroni. Give this a whisk again so it doesn't stick together. And let me uh, strain while I drain my pasta in the sink. Okay, 1 second.
People are enjoying your pronunciation of colander, and I am as well. I shall now
How do you
forever.
say it? How do you say it?
I say it. Well, how does everyone in the chat say it? Because I've seen actually a few different ways now, and I'm actually fascinated by this. It's awesome. Colander is one way.
Colander,
Collage, calendar, col.
calendar,
Everyone's just yeah.
colander,
Lander,
colander. All right.
Lander.
So I've strained my pasta in the colander, and I'm gonna add a drizzle of olive oil to it so it doesn't all stick together. Otherwise, your pasta becomes clumpy and lumpy, um, like Lucius's sheets on the ship. You just don't want that. So just add a bit of olive oil and stir it in your pasta, and just so it's all coated with the olive oil and it doesn't all stick together. Okay, and then set that aside to cool while we move on to the cheese. All right, this is my favorite part. I hope by now you have grated all your cheese. Like I said, mix it all together, the Gouda, the Gruyere, and the cheddar, or whatever cheeses you have used. This is your recipe to play with, guys. Use your favorite cheeses. Why I add a smoked cheese is because it just lifts it up and makes it taste like there's bacon in there, or that is barbecued. It just gives that extra flavor to it. Sharp cheddar just helps make it nice and cheesy and that tanginess. And then the Gruyere is just very sophisticated cheese. So mix it all up. Okay, you should have about 6 cups, like I said. If you have more, good for you. Um, what we're gonna do? We're gonna start adding cheese to the roux a little bit at a time. So if you have 6 cups, we're gonna start with the 2 cups of cheese that you're gonna add in there, which is basically, you know, a third of what you have. So add that to your bechamel sauce. Let me tilt down so you can see. So I'm gonna start with the 2 cups, add that to my bechamel sauce, and then whisk that in so it melts nicely together. Okay. Look at that. Turning into a nice cheese sauce. Mix it in so it all melts nicely together. Do. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see the texture. Nice there. Your heat should be on low so it doesn't keep burning the bechamel roux at this point. So nice and cheesy. And then add another 2 cups of cheese. 1, 2. And we're going to save this for when we put the dish together, the last 2 cups. Stir that in. Nice and cheesy. Can you smell it? Smells of a teenager's socks. Very nice. All right. Mix it in, mix it in. Look at that nice smooth texture. All together now. The gentleman pirate, I presume. No? Have I used that phrase too many times?
They're still commenting on the words "folded in," so we'll just keep that going.
Fold it in.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Put that in, and it should be nicely integrated, nice and cheesy. Give it a taste so you know what you're dealing with. Mm, delicious. Um, Now we're gonna add in the macaroni called mac and cheese. Basically, you're gonna add your pasta to your gentleman pirate sauce. Fold that in, nice and easy, like the gentleman pirate. Um, and you want to coat, make sure all your pasta is nicely coated. So, um, gently add in your macaroni, all of it. It shouldn't be clumpy, like the olive oil should have kept it separate. Yeah. And just gently mix that all together so the pasta is fully coated with the gentleman pirate. Like Blackbeard on Calypso's birthday. And what's happening at the inn right now. Just lots and lots of cozy coating. Here we go. Put it in there. Stir it nicely together. All right. And there you have the base of your mac and cheese. See that? Made a professional bechamel, and you added your macaroni to it with nice cheeses. Give it a taste again. See if you want to add more salt, pepper, nutmeg. I'm happy with my saltiness. I'm happy with it at all. Um, Once it's all added together, turn off your heat as we work on the next step, which is making the breadcrumb topping. We're almost there, guys. This is the last step. Um, so leave that there to kind of blend together. And we're going to move on to the breadcrumbs. Now, before we do the breadcrumbs, I want to show you how to layer your mac and cheese in the baking dish, okay? Because this breadcrumb step is very easy, very quick. So have your baking dish ready. I have mine. It's a 9 by 13 inches. Someone mentioned it on Twitter. And I measured it, and this turned out to be the size. So have your baking dish ready. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a layer of this delicious mac and cheese sauce, half. And then we're gonna add the rest of the cheese on top of that half because we're lunatics. And then we're gonna cover the rest of that with the rest of the half of the mac and cheese sauce. So that cheese in the middle will cook nicely in there and just make it that much more creamy. If you're gonna add your tomatoes, that's where I would suggest you would add the tomatoes or anything else you want to add to it. You know, some people add bacon to their mac and cheese. Some people add sun-dried tomatoes. Some people add, I don't know, lobster, you know, I don't know. Just whatever rocks your boat, people. Hershey's chocolate bar, do your thing. So we're gonna start with half of the mac and cheese. Hello, Steve Bonnet. Here we go. Put that in there. Put that in there. About half. Okay, just spread it out evenly, flatten it out. And we're gonna add a little cheese. Spread it out on top. Do, 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 do. Okay. And then we'll cover it with the rest of that. Round two. Just put it all up top. Nice and creamy and cozy. Get it all in there.
And how much cheese should be in the middle? There's a couple questions.
The remaining 2 cups of cheese. So if you use 6 cups of cheese, you'd have put 4 in the bechamel, and the remaining 2 would be in the middle. If you have 8 cups of cheese, uh, I'd say the rest of it, but if it's too much, save the grated cheese for another rainy day. Um, if you don't want that much cheese in there. But I had 6 cups total, so I had 4 that I added to the bechamel 2 at a time, and then the final 2 in the middle of this one.
And you didn't butter the pan, right?
I didn't. Good call, Charlie. I forgot to butter the pan.
Ah,
So some people, some people coat the pan with olive oil. That's to stop it from sticking all together. I forgot to do that, to be honest with you. But if you're still there, you can coat it. If you haven't coated it, don't panic. It's not gonna change the consistency. It's still gonna bake nicely. It's still gonna taste nice. It's still gonna be easy to remove from the pan. So don't panic. The olive oil just gives it that extra layer of, coating and sizzling. But it doesn't change the flavor or anything like that. So I forgot to do it. If you are gonna do it and you catch yourself on time, unlike me this morning. You can coat it. If you haven't coated it, don't panic. It'll still taste delicious. You caught me out, Charlie. Good call.
got your back. Got your back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So let that sit tight as we finish with the last step, the breadcrumbs. Okay. So, my thought on breadcrumbs. A lot of people either love or hate the breadcrumbs. I love it because it gives that extra nice crunchy texture to the mac and cheese. Sometimes if I do a big dish for like a Thanksgiving party, like I did at Reese's in New Zealand when Con found out there was 15 cups of cheese in there. I did half breadcrumbs, half no breadcrumbs, so people could choose. He took the breadcrumbs and twice, and then asked me, "Oh, so this is fucking delicious. And how much? What'd you put in it?" And that's not Con. Sorry. That's absolutely delicious, Samba. What'd you put in it? No, that's not Con either. That's absolutely delicious, Samba. What did you put in it? And I go, "Oh, hi, Con. Didn't see you there. Uh, cheese and cream and milk." How much cheese? Just calm down. How much cheese? Stop kicking me. I said 15, and he went, "What?" The rest is history. And I had to kind of lift him up, calm down, and sit him in a corner. Um, but yeah, breadcrumbs, half no breadcrumbs. So anyway, I'm gonna do a full breadcrumbs on this one. All right. Um, I hope people have caught up. Are we ready to move on to the final step, Charlie? If not, I'll take
It
some
it,
BTS
it does
questions.
look like I think people are there.
Okay.
So there's other inappropriate questions about Khan that I'm not going to bring up right now. But go ahead.
Nothing's appropriate about Khan anyway, so fully good on context. Khan described marzipan very nicely in his previous class. I'm not going to say how he described it, but involved the devil and a phallus. But he called this mermaid jizz, so that's nice. All right, here we go. We're going to melt. How did you interpret mermaid jizz, Berto? I really want to say. I'm sorry to do that to you, man. I bet you've never had to do that before, huh?
No, listen, Felicia Day did a whole thing and they were talking about lightning bolts coming out of anuses. Actually, we were doing a thing with Reese. We did a thing with Reese and Reese had a whole run about cryptids and went on a whole
Yeah.
tangent and it was pretty graphic and Berto had to sign some things and he might. So
You're a trooper, Berto. Thank you, sir. All right, we're gonna melt three the tablespoons of butter, so the remaining end of your stick of butter, which is I don't know the measurements in cups, but 3 tablespoons of butter. You just want a little bit of butter to melt in the frying pan. Just turn your frying pan on medium low, you know, just so the butter melts. Once the butter melts, uh, you're gonna See, I haven't shredded my Parmesan yet. I'm gonna shred it uh into the pan as I cook it. Um, but we're gonna add breadcrumbs to the butter once it's melted. If you're gluten-free, I hope you have gluten-free breadcrumbs. If you're amazing like Charlie, you baked your own bread and made your own breadcrumbs. Brag. Amazing. And then we're gonna add smoked paprika. Again, this is optional, but why the smoked paprika? It lifts the dish. It just adds that smokiness again to the dish that makes it feel like it's barbecued or it's just, smoked or it's got some, extra layers to it. And that just lifts the whole dish together with the smoked cheese if you use smoked cheese. So I love smoked paprika. If you don't have smoked paprika, don't panic. You don't need it. If you have regular paprika, that works too. But smoked paprika I found works best with this, with my palate and what everyone loves from who has tried it. So just melt your butter on medium-low heat before adding 1 to 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. And then you'll add a quarter teaspoon of smoked paprika. And then what did I say? How much Parmesan did I say? I said a third cup of Parmesan. So about 70 grams of Parmesan, which is the rest of this, basically. I can do less than this. This more than 70 grams. That's 100 grams. Yeah, that's gonna be the breadcrumb topping in a second. You don't need to overcook the breadcrumbs in the butter. You just want to toss it all together because it's gonna bake in the oven. It's gonna bake nicely. It's gonna turn golden brown. Your cheese is gonna sizzle. Everything's gonna turn nice and golden brown in about 20, 30 minutes once you've baked it. If you're gonna bake it later, like I did, I will. There's two things you can do. Either just leave it out all day until tonight and just pop it in the oven when it's time. Or if you're gonna bake it later or the next day, let everything kind of cool down first, and then put some plastic, what is it, plastic foil cover on it, and keep it in the fridge until tomorrow or whenever you're ready to bake it. It'll still be good. It'll still be fresh. And as always, mac and cheese or any pasta dish tastes better the next day. Any other questions before I start this topping? My butter's almost melted.
Yes. Let's see. There was actually a question. I mean, lots of people are asking about you as a dad. You know, how it's going,
Yeah.
how homie's doing.
He's
That
doing good. I had a rough night, but as you can tell, he's going through teething right now. So it's like not sleeping, crying a lot, very clingy, very fussy. But he's 10 months tomorrow already, which is amazing. And he's walking already, which I didn't walk till I was 1.5.
yeah.
Like I'm lazy. He's like, I got shit to do, Dad. And so he's kind of walking around and he's teething. So it's a kind of weird phase that we're in right now. So I'm not getting much sleep these past next couple weeks because of the teething. But it's just part of it, man. And then you see that smile in the morning and it just gives you the energy to go again. So yeah, I love being a dad.
Yeah. Here, you beam about it when you talk about it. Elizabeth asked, "Did you know anyone from the cast or crew before the show?"
No, I had never worked with any of them before. Uh, no, we all really got to work together for the first time. I mean, Samson knew Joel because they had worked on something together before. And uh, of course, Reese knew Taika. But we had never worked together before. So it was all very, very new. Of course, Dave Fane worked with Taika before as well, but everyone else is the first time working together. So we did some bonding activities up top. Like I told you, sorry, my butter's melting, so I don't want it to burn. So I'm kind of like taking it off the heat for a second. Um, we bonded with, first when we got to know each other, the first thing we did was sword fighting training. And that's when we really got to know each other because we're like, stay away from Samson. He can't hold a sword because he almost killed us. He threw his sword in the air and it almost landed on us. And then we went sailing training. Um, And also, sorry, during the sword fighting, we they tried to teach us some stunts like doing flips and somersaults, and none of us could do it. So they're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do stunts with this lot. There's not gonna be any battle scenes with this lot." Um, I'm like, "Come on, like you can do yardies. That's as far as you go." But we got better in season two. We had one fight scene, but no one did a somersault or a flip because we couldn't. And then we went sailing training, where they taught us to, how to belay rope and how to pull sails up and tie knots. None of us knew how to tie knots. Belaying is as far as we got with skills. So if you watch Our Flag Means Death the whole season, anytime any of us are in the background doing ship things, either someone's mopping or someone's doing the only thing they learned, which is belaying, which is just someone's there trying to fold rope together. Because then everyone would fight. They're like, no, 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 I want to belay. No, I want to belay. Because that's the only thing we knew how to do. Is like, you do the knot. I'm like, I don't know how to do the knot. I want to belay. So everyone's belaying. I'm like, what is it? What are you doing? I don't know. I'm belaying. And then we tried to learn how to, tie knots and throw it in the water, to save somebody. And I was paired up with Christian and Nathan. And Christian was, he just threw it like Hodor. He just went yeah, in his Irish accent, nah! And it went far. And then and then Nathan, it was Nathan's turn, and he took it. And then I have a video of this. He just threw it. There's no other way to say this. He just threw it gay. He just went, huh, and it went like 2 feet away into the water. And that's when I knew this is gonna be fun because all of us are terrible, which is perfect with this thing because we're not supposed to be really good pirates. We're supposed to be terrible pirates. And that's how we all bonded and got to know each other. And after that, it just became a circus of funny together. All right, my butter's melted. I'm gonna add my 1 cup to 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. So that's 1 cup. I'm gonna add a little more. There we go. And I'm gonna add a 1/4 tablespoon of a smoked paprika, in there for the flavor. There we go. And I'm gonna start grating some Parmesan cheese into that little boy. Here you go. And basically what you want to do is kind of stir it all together just so nothing burns. Everything is just coated in the butter, mixes nicely together, and just turns a little brown. Just cooks a little bit because again, it's gonna cook and bake in the oven really nicely. So that's some. Let me give it a stir so it doesn't all kind of burn or cook together. Start forming little clumps. Oh, you see, just coat it all in that butter. Get it all nice and moist, which is Lucius's favorite word. And here we go. Da, 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 da. Melt the rest of the Parmesan. Almost there. This is a workout. For those who have the machine that grates your cheese for you, good find. I don't have that. I should get it, seeing as how much mac and cheese I make on a daily basis. Let's see. Not about 70 grams. There we go. Okay. So stir that all together nicely. You'll smell that smoked paprika. Why can't I say it? Smoked paprika.
Yeah.
How would you guys say it? Paprika?
Paprika.
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 I put the paprika on the colander. It's really good. All right,
There's
here we
no
go.
sense to English, Samba, as you there's no sense whatsoever.
All right. And I just want it to be kind of coated in that all together, all mixed together. The cheese slightly melted. That's what you want. You don't want it to cook much more than that because again, it's gonna bake in the oven. So when that's done, just turn off the heat. And we're almost there. Now we just have to top the mac and cheese dish with this breadcrumb dish. Again, if you're gonna do fully coated, just spread it all over the dish. If you're gonna do half, to, give others an option if they want breadcrumbs and no breadcrumbs, just do half. I'm just gonna do full. All right. So hope you can see that. Yeah. And basically I'm just gonna top the dish with the breadcrumbs. Try to spread it as evenly as possible, just so every bite of mac and cheese has that nice crunchy texture. Spread it out.
Samba, someone has also asked, Jasper asked, Roach was their favorite character, but if you could have played any other character besides Roach, which role would you like to play?
Um, Thanks for saying that. I love playing Roach. Um, Roach turned out to be a fun character because in the beginning, I had no idea like how he'd be or what role he'd have. But I really enjoyed playing Roach. And then if I had to play any other character, when I first read the script, I read the script a year before I was cast because a friend of mine got their hands on it. And they're like, Samba, this should be something you should do. So I read the script, and there wasn't a character called Roach in the very original first draft. But there was Oluwande and there was Frenchie. And I was like, oh, I want to play Frenchie just because I speak French. It's my first language. And also, he just seemed like a cool mix, cool character. And then once we started filming, and finally, a year later, I got the audition for Roach. They added the character called Roach. And Christian showed me a photo of that they had cast someone originally as Roach, but that person couldn't do it or something. And then they started looking for a new Roach, and then I got the audition and I booked it. And that just goes to show that, what belongs to you comes to you. And if something's meant for you, nothing in the universe can stop it from coming to you. So I was so happy to play Roach. But if I could choose any other character, yeah, Frenchie, man. A, because Joel just makes everything look so cool. He's just lanky and cheekbones. And his outfits and costumes were just so fun, so fun to play with. So I think Frenchie would be a fun character to play. Anyone else? Nah, nah. The Frenchie.
Also, Brianna asked, what was your favorite part of filming Advanced Chemistry, which is now out on Amazon and other streamers like Apple?
Oh yeah, thanks. Advanced Chemistry. Rom-com. It was fun to be sorry. It was fun to be a leading man in a rom-com because usually I play cab drivers or pirates, and so it was nice to be a romantic interest. My favorite part of playing that was the physical comedy. I'm a physical comedian, like Reese. That's why I bonded so much with Reese because we're both physical comedians. We're both into cryptids, and we're both, out of place, awkward people. But I loved the physical comedy bits and air guitar specifically. I had to learn how to play air guitar, which is, you may laugh at me, but it's a skill. It's a real skill. Like I had to practice for 2 weeks on how to play air guitar. I had to watch videos, see how, it's all about confidence. Doesn't matter how silly you look on stage, as long as you believe that you're holding a guitar, that's what sells it. So doing a whole routine playing air guitar was the funnest part for me. But yeah, speaking of me and Reese, like we're still in touch very much, and we're planning on some things down the line which we want to do together. Just because we're so similar and we have such a similar sense of humor that I can't wait for us to put out and hopefully make what we're planning on doing. It's just everything's been so quiet this year with TV. No one's making shows or anything, but we're trying to see what we can do. So that's as much as I can say. Before I go on, my camera battery is going to die, so I'm just going to switch it with my next battery. Okay?
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Let's do it. And then I think we're nearing the end too. So just as a reminder, if you have a meet and greet ticket, just stick around right here, and we will start after the event is done. And I would like to also just say thank you to Berto as well today. Again, preemptively, just going to prepay it. But I would love to release Berto back to the wild, back to his family. So if you require ASL interpretation for the meet and greet, can you please let us know? Otherwise, we'd like to release him back to his family, back to the loving arms of his family on this lovely Saturday. Um, Yep, and you can find Berto. We've got Berto's socials there. Go watch Advanced Chemistry as well. Been talking, and also again, thank you for getting a ticket to this. For it's helping to support the LA Regional Food Bank, which is around this time of year is really under resourced. So thank you for your help on that.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for saying that, Charlie. All of you guys who are here today, we're supporting the LA Food Bank. It's an important cause to me because, I've grown up around families who've struggled a lot during the holidays, especially when they're trying to just, celebrate the holidays and give their kids something to look forward to. So the LA Food Bank has done great work, and I appreciate you guys. Just the only way to heal, the only way to keep spreading love is to be of service to one another, because that inspires everyone else to see what you're doing and be of service. And so it means a lot to me that you guys are not only here to bake together, but also support a fun cause, a good cause, and try to spread love during a time where there's a lot of fear and discrimination. And I hope that, you feel safe enough to do that and be of service, and love always wins. So we're going to win together. Charlie, this is the final dish.
Woo!
I mean, not final because it still has to bake. So if you're gonna bake it again, you put it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. Check in on it at around 20 minutes. You'll see it start sizzling and bubbling. And then yeah, usually 25 minutes for me, 20, 30 minutes is when it'll be ready. Take it out, turn off the oven, and then just let it set for a second, and then it's ready to serve, and it'll be so good. And I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this dish and how you like it. Please, as always, take photos and tag Momentus, tag me, because this brings me joy. You have no idea how much baking and spreading love through baking brings me joy. So I thank you guys again so much for doing this. Tips for leftovers. You can keep this in the fridge for like 5 days. Just keep it covered with the plastic foil or in a Tupperware. If you have a microwave, that's the fastest way to heat it up again and eat it. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of water just so it adds moisture to it and keeps it nice and creamy. Or if you're gonna put it in the oven to reheat it, a little bit of water again, kind of just, cut it in pieces just so the heat really penetrates and gets that ooziness out. So you get the full gentleman pirate experience. But yeah, that's the dish. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think of it. Again, I'm so excited to see your creations, and I appreciate you guys so much. I've done everything I can from my end to show the love I have for you with all the BTS videos and all the posts and all the things I can release from time to time. I'm sure I still have some clips and stuff and photos that I've not shared yet. I took 4,000 things. So it just pops up from time to time. Sometimes I go back through my album and I'm like, oh, I haven't shared this yet. And so I love doing that. I know a lot of you are leaving Twitter. I just heard about this new app called Blue Sky that a lot of you are migrating to, and I'll miss OFMD Twitter because OFMD Twitter was such a special part of just supporting the show and being a crew on the show. So I have to stay on X because studios require actors to have their social medias on different platforms to promote things. But I will look into Blue Sky and hope I will find you guys there as well to spread the love. And otherwise, yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Uh, this show has meant so much to me. You guys have meant so much to me through all these years. And we're crew for life. Like I say, we are bonded for eternity. Nothing can take our bond away. All right. It goes both ways. You and I were like Lucius and Black Pete, just nothing can keep us apart.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
nah, nah. Let's just say Blackbeard and Steed, because Lucius and Black Pete is kind of Sticky sheets. Sticky sheets.
Yeah. Cast and fans is the one true parent. That's sticky sheets.
Uh,
You also said oozing and penetrate, so that's on you.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
No, let's just call it. It's just love. It's just love.
love is love, everyone. All right. Well, thank you so much, Samba. Can't wait to taste it. Gonna make it myself here in a minute.
Nice.
Be moving on to our meet and greet. So you will be, if you have a meet and greet ticket, you'll be brought in here in a second. If you don't have a meet and greet, you're gonna be injected out of the. You're gonna walk the plank out of this event ourselves. Thank you, Berto. As always, appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Berto. Thank you.
Just as usual, the best.